Good afternoon, everyone, to Session Spotlight. We're so excited you've joined us today. We have a big turnout today. We're going to talk with Henry and Roy Clemes. Actually, we're going to talk with Roy Clemes, Heather Macali, Rosalie Neilson, Tommye Scanlin, Deborah Silver, Robyn Spady, Jannie Taylor, and Judy Walker. So we got a full load today. It's wonderful. We're going to be in Convergence this summer, Wichita, Kansas, July 11th through the 17th. It's an international art fiber conference. There's all kinds of things that you'll be able to see and do, and you're going to learn about some of these classes today. So we look forward to you joining us. We have marketplace, exhibits, the fashion show, keynote tours, and much, much more. We're going to start today with Roy Clemes. Color Theory, Carding the Color Wheel. This is a one-day workshop. It's Saturday, July the 13th. Hi, Roy.
Hi, good morning.
Start. Let's go.
Yeah, so that slide was a pretty good showing of how our class starts. We give you a little bit of red fiber, a little bit of yellow fiber, and a little bit of blue fiber. And we give you a blank color wheel. And by the end of the day, what you're going to end up with is a full color wheel. And so everybody knows that, we learned this in grade school, right? You blend colors by mixing them together, a little bit of red, a little bit of yellow, you'll get some orange. But what we're going to do is the actual process of that blending. So we're using drum carders. And if you're unfamiliar with a drum carder, it's a fiber processing tool. It's great for a homogeneous blend, which is what we need. One of the things we talk about in the class is how our eyes perceive the color. And so you wouldn't think that, you could take all of these three colors and blend them together and get some sort of a solid color like this. Right on the screen, it looks like a fairly solid color to you. But to my eyes looking up close, I can pick out the individual strands. And so in the class, what we do is continually blend until we get solid colors, and we also get kind of gradations along the way. And what we end up with at the end of the day, besides this awesome color wheel, is you get either a bat or a roving like this that'll start out on one end with one solid color, and then, of course, I dropped it all the way to the floor. On the other end, you get another solid color, and we get a gradient all the way across. Of course, it crumbled on me here, all the way across of all the different colors between those two colors. So we give you complementary colors, not meaning that the colors complement each other, but that together they complete the color wheel. So these are colors that are on opposite side of the color wheel. You get to blend those together. I should say blend them individually and then blend them together to make this one uniform bat. The really cool thing about that is when you look at it, because they're complementary colors along the gradient, at some point in the way, you get every single color in the color wheel. And it sounds insane, but when you look at it up close, you can say, oh, here's all the different colors that you can see in there. So it's a lot of fun. It's a whole day of drum carding. We bring the drum carders. You don't have to have any drum carding experience. It is fun that way, and that we're just going to keep doing the same thing over and over again. There's maybe a 10-minute learning curve on how to use them. But so if you're kind of, afraid about that, if you're somebody who's a weaver and you say, well, I took a spinning class and there was a big learning curve there and I kind of struggled all day. Drum carding is kind of different there. The part that we're doing is not quite as technical. You don't need as much of a high level of skill to be able to do this blending. So fairly simple as far as that goes. And that's my elevator pitch. So
well, I'm
any
curious.
questions?
Now I'm not a spinner. I'm ashamed to say I'm not a spinner. But is this something that I could take to become a spinner? Or do I need some knowledge first?
No, absolutely. So this is something that when you walk away, you'll have enough fiber that you could then spin, whether we're talking about getting started with a drop spindle or a spinning wheel. Absolutely. And it depends on what kind of weaving you're into. I mean, if we're making a roving or something like this, you can certainly do all kinds of weavings with just roving. So you don't necessarily have to be a spinner. I also think that just the background of understanding how and why the color blends the way it does when we teach this is
That's what
great.
I
Even
was wondering.
yeah,
Yeah,
even if
is
you're like, well,
that
I'm
going to
never
help
going to do
me?
that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
and
sounds great.
it also transmits well to felting, because fiber prep is a great felt preparation, right? All the
Oh,
carding that we're going to do. So if you're into felting or maybe a little felting curious, this would be a great way to get some preparation background for that as well.
well, that's wonderful that you can really expand it into other areas besides just spinning. Or if you're, want to start into your spinning career, this might be the class to get you going.
You got it.
Thank you so much for being on here today.
You're
This is
welcome.
called Color Theory, Carding the Color Wheel. It's a one-day workshop. It's Saturday, July the 13th. Thank you, Roy.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Heather Macali. Introduction to Wet Felting Slippers. Oh, look at those. They're gorgeous. It's a one-day workshop. Hey, Heather, how are you? We've lost your picture somehow. There we go.
Oh,
There you go. It's a one-day workshop. It's Saturday, July the 13th.
perfect. I do have a PowerPoint, so I'm just gonna
Wonderful.
share the screen. Hopefully it will populate. And now I'm gonna try to go into the slideshow mode. Just tell me if it's not. Do you see?
There
the
you go.
slideshow?
You're
Okay.
good.
Perfect. Okay, so introduction to wet felting slippers. As we just said, it is Saturday, July 13th, 9 to 4:30 p.m. The material fee is $35. It's listed as a beginner class, but all levels are welcome. So I will be team teaching this with my mom. So I'm Heather. My mom is Nancy. I'm an associate professor at Wayne State University in fibers. And Nancy has been teaching for over 45 years. First in family consumer science. Now she teaches at fiber festivals, and she is the owner and operator of Oh My Fibers. So just a few pictures of the workshop. What will happen is you will get to pick from a variety of colors of roving or comb top. We'll have merino, tarhi, maybe some Polworth, and then we'll have that dyed in a variety of color, like I said, and then we'll also have natural colors. So depending on what's available when we purchase, there could be some browns, some blacks. Obviously, we will have white as well. In these images, you can see that you're going to work on both slippers at one time, and you basically do, without the drum carder, we're going to hand card out the fibers in different levels. And then you put a resist on the inside, and then you use hot water and agitation to then felt your form, and then you cut it open and you get some lovely slippers. Here are some examples. So you can have slippers with different color insides. Each slipper could be different colors. You can add texture to the outside. You can also do more of like a gradation on the outside as well. We will talk you through all of the options so you get the pair that you would like. And then I thought I'd just pop this on here because there is some homework. Prior to coming to class, we ask that you trace your foot, and if the paper could have a 2-inch of negative space around the foot, because then we're going to actually create patterns out of these feet that you bring, these patterns. And that, oh, sorry, I do have my contact. If there's any questions about the class, feel free to email myself or my mom. And these are the ways you can get in touch with us.
Okay, Heather, I'm skeptical. I'm looking at these gorgeous slippers. And so you're telling me that somebody who doesn't know anything about felting can make those slippers?
Yes, they're very simple. And we're obviously going to be there to guide you to make sure that you're placing the colors in the place that you want it to show up. But really, it's just mostly physical effort to get them done, basically.
Now, the $35 fee, does that include all the supplies, or do they need to bring things, or
They
just
just
say
need to
homework?
bring need to bring the patterns. So we're gonna have all of the soap, obviously the elements to heat the water. We have these little like beach mats that we use to help roll up the slippers as we're felting them, because like I said, it's our physical bodies that we're going to kind of roll the felt or the roving, and then it becomes felt. And then we provide the tool. Occasionally we use bubble wrap Not all the time.
Okay. Well, I think everybody loves a workshop where they walk away with something. It's just, there's something so nice about that. And again, I keep harping on this, but a lot of people are saying, well, I don't want to fly to a conference because I don't have all the equipment. Here's another class that if you're one, a beginner, or two, you don't want to haul equipment because you're flying, this is a great workshop for you. So thank you so much, Heather, for sharing with us. These are just too cute. It's an introduction to wet felting slippers, 1-day workshop, and it's Saturday, July the 13th.
Thank you.
Next up, Rosalie Neilson. Hey, Rosalie. 8-shaft warp rep runner with a 2-block border motif. It's a 3-day workshop. It's Monday through Wednesday, and it's July 15th through the 17th. There she is.
Hi there. I was just thinking about Roy's wonderful roving being used in the felting workshop. That probably would be a good match.
Yes.
Yeah. So my workshop basically is on 8 shafts, and it's a rep workshop. And rep is a warp-based weave structure where the weft is hidden. And so, Kathy, can you show me my background, because I am going to be using my pointer to show things on that background, the virtual background.
Are you asking if the rep weave is behind you?
Yeah, it's behind me, but could I see it in a bigger perspective, because I only see it as a tiny little picture in the window.
Rosalie, we have no control over that, over your background or changing how you see it.
Oh, so do you see myself as a bigger picture?
Yes.
Oh, well, I guess I don't see it. Well, I can see my small picture, so I will describe what we're doing. Basically, it's a 8-shaft weave structure, and we are going to be dealing with, quote, blocks. And a block is threaded on 2 shafts. And if you think of 8 shafts, you can have, quote, 4 blocks. One of the blocks will be threaded on shafts 1 and 5. A second block will be on 2 and 6. The third block will be on 3 and 7, and the fourth block on 4 and 8. So these center motifs, the profile draft is 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1. Notice there are also stripes. A stripe means you don't have to worry about which 2 shafts you put it on, as long as it's on 2 shafts, because the background color and the pattern color are going to be the same. And in the motifs I'm showing here, my pattern color is green and my background is purple. The interesting thing we're going to be learning is how to control a 2-block border that is a color opposite. So if you think of this number 1 block being threaded pattern on shaft 1, background on shaft 5, the little block out here is called the block 5 because I have pattern on shaft 5 and background on shaft 1. So anytime I'm bringing up pattern in this block, I'm bringing up background in this block. So in essence, these 2 little blocks on the border are going to be color opposites, and they basically come along for the ride. So my profile threading draft is basically a 2-block pattern here, a solid stripe, and I actually had a little 2-block pattern of a 1-block pattern right here.
Rosalie,
Yeah.
are you showing, are you doing a PowerPoint?
No, I'm actually just using my background, my virtual background.
Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
No, that's fine, but you can see it big, right? Because I can't.
Yeah.
Okay, because I can't really see it. I just see my little picture. But it's a 3-day workshop, and if you can believe it, how many 4-block motifs do you think there are? There are 1,024. So we will be working with design pages from the book that I wrote, An Exaltation of Blocks, and you'll have a handout that has a bunch of designs in it, but you'll also be able to look at all the different 1,024. And you will not have a treadling. You are going to figure out your treadling. So if I can get pattern in block 1 by raising shaft 1, I can get background in block 1 by raising shaft 5. So you will be figuring out the treadling for each of the 4 block motifs, and we will also have a skeleton tie-up, quote unquote, using the least amount of petals to get the most amount of bang for your treadling. So you can make every one of those 1024 if you so chose over your lifetime to based on just 8 treadles tied up underneath your loom. So there is quite a lot of theory in this workshop, but by the time you're through with the 3 days, you're going to be very facile with the idea of, okay, if I want pattern in this block, I would raise this shaft. If I want background in that block, I raise the other shaft. So by the time you're done, you will either put on a 3 or 4 yard warp. A 3 yard warp will yield about 6 of these 4 block patterns. A 4 yard warp will be about 9. So depending on where you're going to display this runner, it'll be anywhere from 66 inches long to about 100 inches long. So you might have a really long dining room table, or you might have a very wide buffet in your dining room, or you might even put it on, you might even consider it a bed runner. You could put it on the end of a king size bed, and you'd have a very decorative cover for your bedroom. So depending on where you're displaying it, you can make it shorter or longer. Some people even make them into quote placemats. They'll do an individual 4 block motif, and then they'll put a hem or they'll put a fringe, and they will make several of those. So you could probably make at least 5 placemats with the 3 yard warp. But if you wanted to make placemats, you would probably put a bit more on, because you might want hems, which mean you would be doing plain weave and you'd have to roll, turn them up. But if you're doing fringe, we're going to learn cavendoli knots, which is another really wonderful knot to have in your vocabulary.
This sounds like an information packed 3 days. This is wonderful. And the work is just beautiful, and everybody knows, rep weave and you teach it well. So thank you so much, Rosalie. This is 8 shaft warp rep runner with a 2 block border motif. This is a 3-day workshop, and it's Monday through Wednesday, July the 15th through the 17th. Thank you so much, Rosalie. Next up, we have Tommye Scanlin, Marking Time with Fabric and Thread. This is a 90-minute seminar, and it's Thursday morning, July the 11th. Hi, Tommye.
Hi, Kathy, and hello, everybody who's here. I'm so excited. I want to take all of these workshops so far.
I know.
Anyway, my session is a seminar, and I'm going to be talking about something that has fascinated me for 16 years now, tangibly, but for a few years prior to that. And I would like to share my screen, and then I'll be coming back and showing you something in person, if that's okay. So let me find my PowerPoint. And here we go. So the seminar is titled Marking Time with Fabric and Thread, Calendars, Diaries, Journals, and More. That's going to be on the first day on July the 11th, 9 o'clock to 10:30. And what I'll be doing is talking about, first off, how I got involved with this. Sometimes I call it a curious activity. Sometimes I call it a wicked obsession. Whatever it is something that I began in the month of May in 2008. And with that piece, that little skinny piece on the left, I started thinking about trying something I had considered for a number of years. How would my tapestry weaving, how would a tapestry happen if I, or look, I know how it would happen, but anyway, how would it look if I did a discrete, separate little piece every day without a plan, without a predetermined plan? And then the next day I did another one and another one and another one. So I decided to try that out for the month of May. And I made little inch high by 4-inch wide sections of this tapestry. Tapestry, of course, begins at the bottom. So the very first lower part was my first day of May. I got through that month and I thought, gosh, I really didn't know that I could do it, but I did and I enjoyed it. So I thought I would begin then taking a whole year at a time, trying it for 1 year. And on the right, you see my full year of 2009. Every color change was a different day of the year. I realized right away that I would not be home at my loom for every day of the year. So I came up with a code for the days I was missing. And those white blocks that you see sprinkled throughout, those were days I was away teaching or whatever. So I moved on to trying some separate tapestries every month in 1 year. 2011. This year in 2015, you can see sort of the scale of the pieces that now have been my width for the remaining years. Since then, I began to incorporate imagery within the year's days. Because I work with nature quite a lot, I began to use images from my world around me that were occurring seasonally. And I've been continuing that theme each year. So each of these has the little blocks around with a larger image. The first year I did 4 each month. I realized, gosh, that's a lot to do every month when I'm doing other tapestries and other things. So I reduced it to only 12 images surrounded by my days. This was October's completed this year, for instance. Then I started thinking really seriously, you know, I'm not the only person who does something like this daily approach to textiles. And I began to look around and found out that a friend of mine, Jerry Forkner, has been doing daily weaving since 2005, I believe it is. And she does a small bit every day and connects those by the end of the year in various ways. This is just one example. I started looking at other tapestry weavers like Janet Austin, who's also been doing a tapestry diary. Each of those color changes are a different day of one of her years. And Aisha Barlas, who lives in the UK, did one of the 100 Days project with 100 Days Scotland, and her 100 days are shown in this exhibit. Natasha Kiv is working with as many daily weavings as she can do. I think she's up to 200 and something now. And Emma Freeman, as I'm thinking, you know, other people in fiber are doing daily things. Emma Freeman is making little books. Karen Turner in the UK is doing a stitch journal. Heidi Parks has a daily tapestry quilt, or pardon me, not tapestry, a daily quilting project that she does ongoing and even does a workshop with that theme in mind. Rowan Hogg has a beautiful piece that was done primarily waiting for her children to be picked up at school or be in sports kinds of things. All my quiet moments, I believe she calls this piece. Judith Martin has an extended length of piece that was a couching of stitches of fabric onto a very long thing. Calliope Monoyos, pardon me, Calliope, I'm sure I murdered your name, collected plastic from a friend and encased those in banners. This is a year's use of plastic items. If you think about how that affects us. Jennifer McGregor is charting every place she's lived in her life with coiled bits of sweater strips. Tempestry project, some of you may know about. data, temperature quilts, temperature blankets by Robyn Lind. So that's my talk. I'm going to be talking about people who are using fiber in ways to mark their daily passing.
Thank you, Tommye. This is beautiful. I can't wait to see some of these. That's such a great way of, like you said, marking time. It's wonderful.
Right.
Again, it's marking time with fabric and thread. It's a 90-minute seminar. It is Thursday morning, July the 11th. Next up, Deborah Silver. Split shed weaving, multiple structures on 4 shafts. This is another 3-day workshop. It's Monday through Wednesday, July the 15th through the 17th. Hey, Deborah.
Hi, everyone. Nice to see you again. I will be teaching a 3-day class in split shed weaving, and let me share. Okay. Okay, can you see that all right?
Yes.
All righty. So I'm teaching a class in split shed weaving where everything is selvage to selvage on 4 shafts with a straight threading all the way across the warp. 1, 2, 3, 4. But with that technique, you can apply it to so many different weave structures. And you'll see here on the left where there's a tied twill, where basically you're getting to choose where you want to see the pattern weft or where you want to see the ground. The orange and blue piece next to it is a double cloth where you get to choose which layer you want to see on top. And then there's a piqué, and you can also do blended colors like the piece on the right. So what a split shed is, it's just a layer of warps in between that upper and lower warp that forms a shed. So you're creating these 2 mini sheds, and you get to choose anywhere across that warp where you want to see the weft and where you don't, depending on whether it's in that upper shed or in that lower shed. You're just floating the shuttle in and out of that middle layer. And I will talk about how to form a split shed on different loom types, like a countermarch loom, counterbalance loom. In the workshop, you can bring a jack loom, a direct tie-up loom, a table loom. And it's not like a regular pickup technique where you're using a graph design and you have to pick through and do a lot of counting. You're just using a cartoon that's drawn on cloth below your warp, and you're just following along the lines on your cartoon. And I'll be bringing all those materials. It's included in the $15 material fee. So you really, the only thing you need to bring to class is a warped loom, some flat shuttles, and various wefts that you'll probably already have in your stash. And there are many things you can do, many different weave structures with just a straight threading all the way across your warp. You can do twills, you can do double weave, you can do tied weaves, and you can blend colors like what you're seeing on the right side. So we're all going to start out, and this is a workshop where everyone works at their own pace. So we're starting out with just 1 shuttle weaving, and you can choose between different weave structures. So these are all 1 shuttle weaves that you can do. Broken twills, straight twills, combinations of the 2, a straight twill with a plain weave. And you can sample a little bit of each one, or you can do a sample that's just 1. It doesn't really matter. Once you learn the technique, you can apply it to all these different structures. Then we move on to weaving on opposites, where we're using 2 wefts, and the second weft is following the opposite path of the first weft, so that you can get a weft dominant structure on both sides of the cloth. And it's the same technique you use to create double cloth. So we'll be doing that as well. And then we'll move on to tied weaves. Tied weave is where you have a fatter pattern weft with a skinny tabby. And you can do summer and winter. You can do tied twills. You can combine different types of summer and winter with twills. And then finally, we'll learn how to blend colors where you're throwing two colors through the same shed, but each color is following its own path, and that there's places where both of those colors are seen at the same time, so that they're creating a third color. And even though we're using cartoons in the workshop, if you're somebody who's more of a Saori weaver who just likes to go more free form, all three of these pieces were done free form, where I just threw two colors through and just pulled them up where I wanted to see them. But if you're somebody who, you know, likes to work more intuitively, but also really wants to explore different weave structures, this is a really nice workshop for you. This is my book cover. That's another piece where I've done two pattern wefts in one row at the same time. And you can see where that orange and blue are blending together to form that third color. The other thing I'm working on is a PK sample for the workshop, because I want to bring that in too. That's that little pink roses PK. You can see more of my work on my website, deborahsilverstudio.com, or if you have questions, you can contact me through there. And I have a video on YouTube. If you just do a search for Deborah Silver Weaving on YouTube, it'll show me doing a video of how to blend colors in a split shed. And you'll see the cartoon and how that works as well.
Well, Deborah, I have to say, I have to confess, I have taken your class and it was amazing. So thank you so much for sharing with us about this class. You guys, it's eye-opening when you take something like this of what you can do. Split shed weaving, multiple structures on a 4-shaft. It's a 3-day workshop. It's Monday through Wednesday, July the 15th through the 17th. Thanks, Deborah.
Thank you.
Next up, Robyn Spady. Weaving the Comedy of Errors. Oh my gosh, this must be my seminar. 3-hour seminar. It's Saturday afternoon. Hey, Robyn.
Hey there, how are you? It's great to be here. I love hearing and seeing what other people are doing. I'm going to go over and start sharing my screen and bring up my PowerPoint so I can be a little bit more than just me talking to you. So this is a seminar that is Weaving the Comedy of Errors, and it is on Saturday afternoon during Convergence from 1:30 to 3:30, 3 hours long. We will be taking a break in the middle of it. And if you're wondering, you know, kind of what is the comedy of errors? Things don't always go according to plan. And when we sit here and we're confronted with issues, and it can be everything from broken warp ends, floating selvages, I made a threading error, what do I do? What are things I can do to make warping better, more even? Studio organization, managing heddles, tension, tracking treadling, better fringe finishing, starting and ending wefts. How do I determine a set? And why is it that my hems are sometimes just not as good as I think they could be? These are the things that happen while we're weaving that make us want to pull our hair out. So what I'm going to do is come in and I'm going to share with you, this is the issue, but here's a solution. We're going to be covering 3 hours worth of these, but it really comes down to things that make a difference. And it's these nuances in weaving that causes issues, but can be resolved. So these are the weaving curiosities and mysteries that I'm going to answer and explain. But when we frequently say, well, why does this happen? You know, it's like picks per inch is not just about beat. You know, why am I setting my loom up per the instructions I was given and I'm getting different results? We're going to also cover yarn conundrums about why are these yarns not doing what I want? Did I make the right yarn selection? You don't know how you don't have to know how to weave. It does help because if we're talking about weaving in a header, what does that mean? But this is good for rigid heddle weavers, new weavers. I like to think, regardless of how long you've been weaving, I've got something for you. So if you're going, and I did have a friend of mine who'd been weaving over 20 years that came in and said, I've been weaving 20 years, I don't know that there's really anything for me. And hopefully she left with multiple. Actually, she said she's got a couple that wow, I can go home and use it. But inspiring for all fiber artists, because some of this also applies to spinning and knitting and other things. So comedy weaving, the comedy of errors. The materials fee is $3. And for the $3, you get a spiral bound handout that summarizes everything I'm covering in text. So again, Weaving the Comedy of Errors is Saturday afternoon, July 11th from 1:30 to 3:30. So thank you.
Well, Robyn, I know I say this every time, but I'm going to say it again. Taking your workshop is worth just for the handout. You have the best handouts in the world. So thank you so much. This sounds like a great seminar. We all can learn those cute little tricks to fix our mistakes. So Weaving the Comedy.
No, Kathy, no,
Yes.
no tricks. No tricks. I really, this is, proper solutions.
Proper solutions.
Yes.
Excuse me.
Yeah, no, I've had people that get turned off by the term tricks.
Oh, we don't want to use tricks then, because Robyn knows how to fix things. So that's what you're going to learn. She's going to learn proper solutions. Thank you, Robyn. Weaving the Comedy of Errors. It's a 3-hour seminar, Saturday afternoon, July the 13th. Next up, Jannie Taylor, all about Twill. This is a 90-minute seminar. It's Saturday morning, July the 13th. Jannie, I think you're muted. Can you turn? There you go.
There we go. All right. Hi, everybody. I'm thinking I need to take Robyn's workshop.
Don't we all? Don't we all?
One thing I love is weavers that have been weaving for about a year or so, and they say, well, when am I going to stop making errors? And I'm going, when you take up quilting or something, when you stop weaving, because there's never a time when you're not going to make errors, and knowing how to work with those and make that work, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. So anyway, I love that. Okay, so I'm going to be talking to you about Twill. So let me share my screen for a minute, and tick, one little thing here, and my slideshow. There we go. Hello. Oh, from the current slide. So this is all, well, all about Twill, almost all about Twill, because you probably never know everything all about Twill. This is going to be on July the 13th, and I think this is in the morning. Most people who've been weaving any time at all have woven some twill of some sort or another, tutu twill, or whatever kind of twill. But there's lots of kind of twills, and sometimes we think we know because it's such a basic kind of a weave that, I know twill. Well, there's a whole lot to know about twill, way more than you might think. So having a deeper understanding of this basic interlacement is my goal for you. So I'm going to start off with the idea of the difference between a threading and a weave. And a lot of times we'll say, oh, this is a twill threading. And in fact, well, okay, this looks like a twill threading. This looks like a twill threading. And this, I don't know what this looks like. Certainly doesn't look like a twill threading. But in fact, this one is weaving twill. This one is weaving twill. And this one is weaving satin. So the threading is not a weave. A threading is a threading. And we're going to try to understand what that means in drafting. So we'll work on that. And so then to sort of just... We had a study group in my guild about twill, and it took us the first couple of meetings to actually get a definition of what is twill. And we consulted about every authority known to weavers, and they all said pretty much the same thing in the same order. What it basically comes down to is the common characteristics of any twill is that it produces a diagonal. So we're going to be getting those diagonal lines. So we'll try to define what a twill is, because sometimes you get a little off of that basic little twill line and you think, well, is this a twill or not? So where you can figure that out. So the idea is that you have a basic understanding of twill, and then you're going to take that basic understanding and go on and look at a variety of twills, advancing twills, twill in blocks, weft face twills, parallel twills, undulating twills, Euro twills, or gorokna, or twills in Stubenitsky coat, using the Stubenitsky coat to make twill weaves, and network twills. So we'll look at all of those things. It's going to be a quick tour in 90 minutes. So a lot. Then we'll also have a look at how we could use weaving software to make constructing interesting twills a little easier, especially for people who have software, to how I can use it, how I can make an advancing twill very quickly, how I can make a twill that has mirror symmetry by just simply making half of it and letting the software give me mirror symmetry, how I can use my software to do some of those things. In addition, I'll have, since this is in person, which is wonderful, we're back to being in person, which is great. So I'll have samples of all sorts of different twills that you can look at, take photographs of, feel, and ask questions about. So that will be part of the workshop, part of the seminar. It's a 90-minute seminar. So my two objectives is, number one, that you would expand your knowledge of twill weaves, and that it would encourage you to weave more twill and try out some different twills that you haven't tried before. So yeah, you want to leave wanting to get your twill on. Okay, so stop sharing. So I'm back. So anyway, that the last time I looked, this seminar was nearly full. So if you're really interested in twill and want to know more about twill, it'd be a good thing to sign up right away, because I think it's going to be a fun 90 minutes. So thank you.
Thanks, Jannie. And you're right. This one is almost full. So if y'all thinking about it, you might want to jump on this. And this is a great class for someone, again, if you're not necessarily, I mean, it is good for beginners, but it's not just beginners. It's anybody who wants to understand these weave structures better, and no one better to teach it than Jannie Taylor. So thank you so much. It's all about twill. It's a 90-minute seminar. It is Saturday morning, July the 13th. Next up, Judy Walker, Kumihimo braiding with beads. Aren't these lovely? 3-hour seminar. It's Thursday morning. Hi, Judy. There you go.
Hi. Yes, I'm on. Hello. Well, I'm
Take
very
away.
excited to teach Kumihimo. Kumihimo is an ancient Japanese craft, and it's done typically on a structure like this called a marudai. I'm not getting that in the frame very well, but here in America, we've innovated to make it simpler and more portable. We've used these little foam discs, which make Kumihimo really easy, really fast, and you get fabulous results. And also in America, a fairly recent innovation is braiding with beads. And so you get these really wonderful bead necklaces, if you can see these, and they're useful for holding a focal bead, and you can make all kinds of different effects. For example, this one was made with pearls, and this one was made with stone chips. Yeah, ooh. And I will be giving you all kinds of cool design ideas, like working with colors, like this. You can get multicolor necklaces. You can get multi-strand necklaces, like this. This one glows in the dark, by the way. It's very cool. And we will make a simple design. You'll have 4 designs to choose from, and within 30 minutes, you'll be braiding. It's super fast, super easy, and it's really portable. It's a very nice thing. You don't need to bring any supplies with you. I'll supply everything. I will preload the beads on these little pop bobbins. They're very handy. And you can reuse those, of course, for your next necklace. You will want to make your next necklace as soon as possible. And I will tell you how to thread beads on there. They will be pre-threaded for you. So you will be braiding immediately. And as I say, it's a portable craft. You can pop it in your purse and you can whip it out whenever you're standing online and amaze everybody. It's just really fun. It's addictive, and it's a great little craft. So come join me.
So you're telling me I'm going to make a necklace in that amount of time?
You might not finish it, but you might get close.
Wow, that's great. Again, there's something about just walking away with something in your hand, You learn something and then you have an example of it. And those are gorgeous. So this is for anybody who's, even if they've never done it before, right? This is-
Never done it before. Absolutely.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Judy. This is the Kumihimo Braiding with Beads. It's a 3-hour seminar. It is Thursday morning, July the 11th. Oh, so many sessions. There's going to be 150 seminars and workshops, 90-minute seminars. You've heard that people talking about those today. 3-hour seminars. Judy was just talking about hers. 1, 2, and 3-day workshops. Just a reminder that if you are going to take classes, you might want to check into the Convergence value package. You'll get a 25% discount towards your classes, and it really is worth it. And make sure you get your membership, because if you're going to take a class, you have to have a membership. Be sure you have your membership and your CVP before you sign up for classes. I do want to mention one thing. Someone asked a question and I missed it. And thank you, Roy, who came back in. She wanted to know if taking the carding class was any good if you don't have a carder. Could you use a hand carder? And he said, absolutely. You can do that. Even if you don't have an electric carder and you're going to do it by hand, you will learn a lot from his class. So thank you, Roy. Appreciate it. And don't forget, registration is open. If you're looking at classes, you're watching these videos, trying to decide what you're going to take, you can watch them all again, or if you missed some, they're all recorded and you can go back and watch them again. weavespindye.org/sessions has all the information about the classes, and we hope we will see you in Wichita this summer, July the 11th through the 17th. Be there.